It is starting to look like it's perfectly okay for the Los Angeles police and prosecutors to stonewall all of us when it comes to the investigation into the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez and her singer boyfriend, David. But God help anybody who tries to stonewall them. Apparently, the authorities do not like it when people decide not to talk to them. Do you remember that grand jury we told you about? The one that is trying to figure out which crimes may have been committed in the death and concealment of Celeste and who might have been behind all of that? Well, now TMZ is reporting that a prosecutor was overheard threatening to take one of the witnesses into custody if she wouldn't testify voluntarily. We don't know the witness's name because I knew you were going to ask. Other than TMZ says it is a woman. And we don't know what information she's believed to possess or why she's less than eager to part with said information. But we do know one thing, and that is that she's got herself a lawyer. And that surprisingly, she's got herself the very same lawyer that represents another witness in the case. And that witness is Robert Morgenroth. That's him. Do you recognize him? Do you recognize his name? Well, if you don't, I got your back. He's connected to the singer, David. And not just one way and not just two ways. He's connected in 3 different ways. First off, he's the GM of David's record label. He is the president of his tour company. And lastly, according to TMZ, he is one of 2 of David's daily managers. Mr. Morgenroth was in front of the grand jury. Not just one day, not just 2 days, but 3 days. And when he was finished, somebody overheard him chatting in the hallway. And apparently he said that he'd been grilled by that grand jury over why he didn't call the police. So all I can think of is like, about what and when and where? Like, it's not exactly clear, like when the prosecutor thought that David's manager should have been dialing the police. When Celeste died, he should have called the police, or when Celeste's body was found, he should have called the police, or when the car was towed. Like, at which point? Is there something entirely different that we don't know about that they are asking about? When should he have called the police? Does he know something about all of this before we all did? But the manager said that he explained he didn't want to mess up David's tour, his world tour, which was just getting started. Incidentally, you probably know, if you've been following the story, that tour ended up getting canceled anywho. My next guest is following all this as closely as anybody can. Colin is a Los Angeles Magazine contributor who also hosts the Outlier podcast. Lauren, good to have you back on the program. So it just keeps getting curiouser and curiouser. I mean, every time I see some little development, do you have any idea what connection the manager has to knowledge of the death of Celeste so that somebody would ask him why he didn't call the police?
I have the same questions as you have, Ashleigh, but one thing that was overheard reportedly in the hallway was something along the lines of what you said. Robert Morgenroth said, "I just wanted to keep the tour moving forward." To me, that kind of meant that the tour was still going on. So his tour started July 30th. I have to think possibly Robert Morgenroth found out some information about where Celeste was, or possibly that David was hanging out with a minor, and he decided that that wasn't his business, or that wasn't his problem, and he didn't call police. Again, I am completely speculating here, but it is interesting that this female witness, this mysterious female witness, is using the same attorney. That could mean that she possibly has some kind of connection to Mogul Vision, the company, or maybe the touring company, and you know they're represented under one person. But again, I don't know why she wouldn't show up.
Well, okay, so about this mystery woman, because it also had me playing parlor games in my own head today. I was wondering if she has this connection to David's manager, is it possible she might be David's mom? Because I remember early in this case learning that David's mom was extremely connected in David's music career.
I mean, sure, but I don't really understand why she wouldn't use Blair Burke, who David's using, or why she would use the same attorney on his record label when she lives in a different state. I mean, you're right. Anything's possible. We've heard over and over to sources close to this case that absolutely nothing makes sense about it. And Ashleigh, you've been in court just as much as I have. Think about 3 days worth of testimony, 3 full days of somebody on the stand. That's crazy. That's a really long time. That's a lot of questioning. I mean, what were they asking this guy? What does he know?
Well, all I could think was that he may have spent a lot of time in that house. It's his house, right? Is this the same manager? He's got the lease and David's living in it? Is that there's a different manager?
That's Josh Marshall, which actually it made me happy to learn that he had 2 managers, because Josh Marshall vehemently denied having daily contact with David. And that gave me pause, because I'm like, well, you're his manager. I've talked to, a handful of other managers who say, no, we have a close relationship with our client. So I was like, okay, maybe this guy is the day-to-day.
So this is crazy then. 3 days on the stand is nuts. It's not approaching Jodi Arias's, 17 days. That's the record that, first things that made me fall over and do a spit take. But I guess I just have to end with this question, and it's the question I will always ask you until we have resolution. Do you think that we're getting close to an arrest and that David may end up being arrested?
I want justice for this little girl so badly, Ashleigh, but that question is so loaded. I don't know the answer, because I thought there would be an arrest 2 months ago, shortly after her body, and I'm sorry to say it like this, her decomposing or severed body was found in the trunk of his car. But I just go back to the fact, the rift between the ME's office and the LAPD. I mean, there is something in that autopsy report, something in that talk screen that LAPD does not want getting out there. Clearly, that alone was not enough to result in a charge or an arrest, but there's something in there that they don't want the public to know, because I feel like it's gonna send us spiraling.
Yeah, I know. I had a bad day.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.